Greetings and salutations to all you folks out there. We are back on another Wednesday for a check-in. Hopefully your week is going awesomely well. Obviously, I'm back in front of my PC here, got the sound stuff behind me and all of that good stuff. My PC is still spread out on the desk. It is not reassembled yet. I have all of the plexiglass segments cut out for the wall mount, and I have a few other things set, but it kind of ground to a screeching halt because I had some other projects take priority. Namely, a couple of weeks ago, the anti-lock brakes on my truck decided to, hey, let's take the day off. And so I plowed into someone's rear end, and I had to spend this past weekend fixing the front of my truck, replacing the grill, bumper, bunch of plastic trim. There's a lot of plastic in cars nowadays. Like, I can remember I bought, the first car that I had was a 90 Isuzu, and I went from the 90 pickup to an 85 Honda CRX to an 84 Trans Am. And, you know, all of the older cars in the body, it tends to be pretty much metal. You might have a little bit of plastic for an insert around the grill, but for the most part, you've got aluminum and steel. And that's it. And then on newer cars, what I'm driving now is a 2011 Chevy Silverado. And the entire front end is just plastic. You hit one thing and everything just shatters into a million pieces, and it's so frustrating. But anyway, all of that stuff is complete. So hopefully this week I can kind of buckle down and get a little bit extra work done on the PC so I can actually get the wall mount going and we can see what that's going to look like. So channel news. I don't think there's anything really super important to talk about. There is one thing that I do need from you guys. I always ask for replays. That should go without saying. And actually, the response as far as replays goes was really great. The last time I asked, I got several. So I've got a few good ones backed up. I'll have some good material for next week, but don't stop sending replays. Keep doing that. But I need specifically Fire Beetle replays. I am doing a little editing project over the holidays that should be a good time if I can get it to work out like I think it will. Be my first attempt at doing like a montage thing, and I've got a couple things planned for it. But anyway, if you have any cool happenings with fire beetles, whether that be stealth transport shenanigans, or mixing it in with spam, or sniping mass extractors, or sniping nuke defense, or whatever the case may be, if you used fire beetles in a game and something cool happened, send it to me. Maybe I can use that footage. I need a variety of different shots if I'm going to do what I plan on doing and make it work. So yeah, send those over. Already got a few really good replays from Speed and I can't remember what the other guy's name was. Anyway, I've been doing a little perusing. The only thing that I would ask is if you do send a replay, please timestamp it. Like, email it as an attachment. Email the replay file. The email address is below the description, just like it always is. But just tag it with 13 minutes and 17 seconds ACU death to fire beetles in a transport. So that way, when I'm buzzing through the replay, I know to stop at about 12 minutes and actually start paying attention to what's going on. That kind of thing. So that would be tremendously helpful, and I would love to get some of you guys videos for that. As far as holiday plans go, I'm going to be leaving over Christmas. I'm going to be out of town, but I'm going to pre-record videos. There will be no live stream. And, what do you know? A red pen just magically appeared in my hands because it was sitting over here on the desk, and I fidget constantly. So you stay over there, pen. I need my hands. Okay. Where was I? Wow. Okay, holiday plans. I am going to be out of town, so there's no live stream on Saturday. But I will have a couple of good games casted for you guys, so you will have things to watch on Saturday, so that's cool. And then I'll be picking up with things as normal right after New Year's, because the next Saturday is the 2nd, if I'm not totally mistaken. 3-day weekend, right after a 4-day weekend for Christmas. So, hey, this holiday season works out really, really well for those of us who work the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday shift. Anyway, it seems like there was one other thing I was going to mention. Yes, New Year's. Talk about New Year's resolutions. So this is kind of going to delve off into the more serious side of things. So if you were looking for lighthearted comments and little updates and things, yeah, this isn't going to be exactly that, but hopefully it's useful information for you. I have actually spent a lot of time thinking about New Year's. And before I get to the specific goals that I picked, I want to talk just a little bit in general about life and things that happen, because I've mentioned before, way back, which if you just started watching check-ins, this has been like months ago, so I don't talk about it much because I don't really like to make a big deal about it, because everybody deals with stuff and it happens. I'm not any worse off or any better off than anybody else, but point of fact, something that happens to pretty much everybody. There are points in your life, and I've had points in my life where you just struggle with depression and you get in a weird spot in your life, and it's really hard to recover from in some ways. And part of that downward spiral is justification for what you're doing and why you're doing it. So you may set awesome goals for yourself and you stick to them for a couple of weeks, like, oh, I'm going to do things with people so that I'm not alone all the time. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to be more active. I'm going to eat healthier. These are all good things, but the problem is when you're the type of person who really gets down on yourself, where when you start slipping, you hate the fact that you're slipping, and therefore you slip more because you hate the whole situation. That kind of endless death spiral that's really nasty to get into. Setting yourself up to fail, setting a flexible goal is not good. Because if you set a goal like, I'm going to exercise more. Well, if you define it strictly and you miss a couple sessions, then you failed. And after that, it's just the long slippery slope or short slippery slope, depending on how things go, to not doing it at all anymore. And then if you don't define exercising more, you end up justifying yourself. Technically, if I do 5 push-ups a week, I'm exercising more than I was before. And then you start thinking, oh, well, I'm doing healthier things, so then I can eat more, and I should treat myself to this thing. And then you end up gaining 3 or 4 pounds because you didn't do things correctly. And then it's, oh, this is hopeless all over again, and slipping and sliding down that thing. So it doesn't matter if you set totally unrealistic goals, you're going to fail quickly. And if you set loose goals that aren't well defined, you're going to fail slowly. And it's a difficult thing to work around. So basically, this January, I have one New Year's resolution. And it is one thing that I can strictly define, and that if I break it, I know that I'm breaking it, and it's actually going to be easier not to do it because I have to consciously make the decision to do it every time. And that is, starting January 1st, no Cokes, pop, soda, whatever you call it in your neck of the woods, so to speak. So my reasoning behind this is I can choose to drink. Even if I drink sweet tea, that's like half the sugar that Mountain Dew has in it, and I'm not as likely to chug it like I do Mountain Dew. So there's water, there's Gatorade and stuff when I'm working, and there's other things. So every time I choose a drink, I have to make a conscious decision. It's not something that I can just slip under the radar. And then if I say no Coke at all, then if I even do one, there's like a tremendous guilt trip factor there. So I think that's going to be something that really helps me in that regard. So it's a goal that I can set up that's easy to keep, and I can't justify my way out of. And then on the other hand, I struggle with a bit of a weight problem. Yes, I do. And that kind of leads over to exercise problems, because I have hit the point where if I try to jog or do aerobic exercises or that kind of thing, it does actually bother my knees and back, which is a really terrible place to be. Shame to be there, but it's a fact of life. If I cut out Coke, not cocaine, if I cut out soda, even if I'm only having one 32-ounce soda a day, that's still like 500 something calories that I'm cutting out. If I'm not getting that 20-ounce soda with lunch, that's another 280, 300 calories, whatever it is, that I'm not having with that meal. So it's one thing that is essentially pure sugar that I'm cutting out of my diet. And even if I take, like I said, even if I take the glass of sweet tea, the sweet tea is only going to have 100 something calories in it and not 300. So this is one thing that I can take out that I think will make a huge impact. It won't feed my sweet tooth, so hopefully I can start getting that under control. Reduce calorie intake. Not having caffeine can't hurt either because I don't drink coffee, and most of the sweet tea that I drink is decaf. So yeah, it's something that in general does good things. And that's something that I was going to encourage you guys about. Try to pick a goal. Make a resolution that is something that you know you can do and has maximum guilt trip potential for one infraction. Because if you can pick a hard item and say no to it, and you have to make the conscious decision every time you approach that topic, I feel like it's going to be something that's easier to keep up. And for me in particular on this one, it's also something that is going to greatly benefit what I'm doing. So yeah, that's my reasoning. That was way longer than I intended to ramble on about that, but whatever. Yeah, that's my New Year's resolution, and I'm going to carry that through the next year and see where I'm at the end of next year. Maybe it will do awesome things. I'm really hoping that it will. Start a good trend. Let's leave it that way. Alrighty, guys. I think that's everything I've got for you. You guys are awesome. The engagement has been fantastic the last few weeks as far as interacting with people on the channel and chat on the FAF client. It's like a fresh coat of paint on everything. Been having a lot of fun doing stuff with you guys. And again, sometimes saying thank you seems to be worn out, but really sincerely thank you, the guys who support the channel directly. The Patreon account is a huge plus. It helps out a great deal in things going on behind the scenes and just maintaining, well, obviously the internet connection, because that was the entire point of it to begin with, but just random costs and things that come up to do with computers and the equipment that I use and all that kind of stuff. It is a tremendous help, and I am eternally grateful to the guys over there on the Patreon account supporting, and a couple who do it through PayPal. So it's just a huge bonus. And if you guys are watching, thank you for that. And I think that's it. Y'all have an awesome Christmas. You're going to get one more check-in from me, but I think it's going to be a very pre-recorded one instead of the night before. Yeah, I'll see you guys over in that one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in that next one.